Hello, my name is Ruhan Madni Nakash. I'll be taking your poetry program. I'll be mentoring you for poetry in the Creative Writers program under my captain for the Climber organization. And this is a part of the video series where I take up one particular poem and I try to introduce you to that arena of poetry by summarizing that one particular poem and talking about the poet. Uh, and the poem that I take up today is called Teach Us to Number Our Days by Rita Dove. Now, speaking of the poet itself, Rita Dove was an African American poet who lived in the United States and is still alive, thankfully. She is one of the most prolific writers, poets alive today, and she won the Pulitzer Prize for poetry. And this particular poem that I'm going to take up today is about racism and poverty. She usually touches subjects like racism and poverty and other personal subjects, but this particular one is really, really vibrant in what she is trying to tell us. So, teach us to number our days. The title itself is a reference from the Bible, from the Holy Bible, from the book of Psalms, where Moses uh, talks about this particular emotion, this particular thing, where he tries to imbibe the quality in men and women to work hard and make most of what they have got in life. This poem goes like this. In the old neighborhood, each funeral parlor is more elaborate than the last. The alleys smell of cops, pistols bumping their thighs, each chamber steeled with a slim blue bullet. Low rent balconies stacked to the sky. A boy plays tic tac toe on a moon crossed by TV antenna, dreams he has swallowed a blue bean. It takes root in his gut, sprouts, and twines upward, the vines curling around the sockets and locking them shut. And this sky, knotting like a dark tie, the petroller, disinterested, holds all the beans. August, the mums nod past, each a prickly heart on a sleeve. I'll take this poem stanza wise, and the first stanza goes like this. In the old neighborhood, each funeral parlor is more elaborate than the last. The alleys smell of cops, pistols bumping their thighs, each chamber steeled with a slim blue bullet. So she talks about an old neighborhood where each funeral parlor is more elaborate than the last, which is in itself a very sad line, because we can see here that she's talking about funeral parlors, and funeral parlors basically elucidate the point of funerals being commercialized today. In the old days, a funeral would take place in one's own house, and one's relatives and the household would work towards the funeral and arrange for the coffin, take the body to the graveyard and get it buried and all that. But today we have commercialized the idea of funerals, where we have funeral houses and funeral parlors and people who take care of funerals basically. So each funeral parlor is more elaborate than the last. So this particular neighborhood that she is talking about, uh, there's a lot of death that's taking place in this particular neighborhood, because there's not only one funeral parlor, but there are many funeral parlors. And the irony of it all is that as we proceed through the poem, we come to know that this is a very poor locality that she's talking about. And in spite of it being poor, there's a lot of funerals going on, and there's a lot of funeral parlors which are basically making money out of funerals. Okay, so we can allude to the fact that there's a lot of deaths taking place in this particular place. Why? She describes that. The alleys smell of cops, pistols bumping their thighs, each chamber steeled with a slim blue bullet. So this is proof to our allusion that a lot of death is taking place there. And how that death is taking place? The alleys smell of cops. So there's a lot of racism going on in America even today. You might have seen it on the news if you watch BBC or CNN. You might have seen that how police officers are responsible for a lot of racism against the black community, African American community in America right now. And there are a lot of cases that are going on in the courts. So this is something very similar to that itself, because she says that the alleys smell of cops. That means there are a lot of cops lurking around in these alleys. Okay, pistols bumping their thighs. There are pistols at their thighs, and these pistols are not unloaded. These are loaded pistols. Okay, these are not empty pistols. Each chamber sealed with a slim blue bullet. Okay, so these pistols are loaded. The chambers of these pistols are not empty, which basically signifies that these cops are ready to fire. These cops are ready to shoot at any moment. They are not kidding with these pistols around. They are not trying to, exercise fear in people, from just to stop them from committing crimes. Rather, they mean business. Okay, so low-rent balconies stacked to the sky. A boy plays tic-tac-toe on a moon crossed by TV antenna. This is one of my favorite stanzas in all of modern poetry. I'll tell you why, because Rita Dove has used language in the most eloquent of ways in this particular stanza. She says, low rent balconies stacked to the sky, which basically signifies that this is a very downtrodden and a very poverty stricken place, a very poor place, a very poor neighborhood, where low rent balconies stacked to the sky. So there are these buildings, 4, 5, 6 stories of buildings, which are basically nothing but low rent balconies. You can see all the clothes hanging out to dry, and people walking out. There's a lot of dirt. It's all a very poor kind of an atmosphere. We people living in India have seen such localities. A boy plays tic-tac-toe on a moon crossed by TV antenna. Tic-tac-toe, as you know, is that game that you play, and this particular line, a boy plays tic-tac-toe on a moon. In this particular line, the moon signifies hopes and dreams. Okay, a boy plays tic-tac-toe on a moon crossed by TV antenna, but this boy loses to TV antennas. What does this mean? It's very confusing, and people have interpreted it in many ways, but the way I tend to interpret it is that this boy has a lot of dreams, and he wants to get out of this locality. He wants to get uh, out of the colonization of this locality, because this locality is not just physical, it's also mental because it colonizes the minds, it pollutes the minds. He wants to get out of it, and he's playing tic-tac-toe with his dreams. He wants to win and get out of it, but he is losing to TV antennas. He is losing to what he is watching on TV, what violence he is watching on TV, what violence he is learning about himself on TV, what violence he is being shown on TV about the African American community and the black community, and racism. He is learning that. And she continues on and says, dreams, he has swallowed a blue bean. This boy who was playing tic-tac-toe with the moon, meaning he was trying to achieve his dreams and fulfilling his hopes, he lost to TV. He lost to what he was being shown about the African American community, about the black community. He lost to how he was being depicted as violent in movies. Okay? So this particular boy now dreams he has swallowed a blue bean. He dreams that he has swallowed a bullet, or rather has been shot by a bullet. That's what blue bean here means. Okay? It takes root in his gut, sprouts and twines upward, the vines curling around the sockets and locking them shut. What beautiful usage of words here. She says that this particular dream takes root in his gut. Okay, this same boy was dreaming about and hoping about getting out of this locality before, but now, after watching TV and after seeing how he is being depicted, how the African American community is being depicted, this particular dream of getting shot by a cop someday or getting shot in a gun battle someday takes root in his gut. It sprouts out and twines upward, the vines curling around the sockets and locking them shut. So the vines curling around the eye sockets and locking them shut, he can't see anything else. He can't dream anything else except this particular thing of him getting shot by a cop someday, eventually. Okay, because that's how colonization of minds works. Okay, and the sky knotting like a dark tie, the sky doesn't anymore look like something that will liberate him, or will give him freedom. Sky usually is ascribed to freedom, because birds fly in the sky. Okay, and flying is, synonymous to freedom here in poetry. But the sky doesn't look like that to him anymore. Okay, it looks like a not it's knotting like a dark tie. It looks as if it is going to, strangle him. The patroller, disinterested, holds all the beans. So there's this cop walking by. She had introduced us to the idea of a lot of cops walking by in this particular neighborhood, and here she's talking about this patroller, this cop who's patrolling the streets in this particular neighborhood. He is completely disinterested. He doesn't care at all. He doesn't care about the aspirations of these boys in this neighborhood. He doesn't care about what goes through their minds, and he doesn't care about the dynamics that is going on. All he cares about is that there should be a crime scene, and I'll shot some of the bullets. I'll fire some of the bullets that I'll shoot some of the bullets that I have. And he holds all the beans. He holds all his bullets. His gun is completely loaded. He means business. August. The mums nod past, each a prickly heart on a sleeve. What Rita Dove is trying to signify by the word August here is that August basically is, in America and in India, it marks the beginning of autumn, and autumn is this transitional period between summer and winter. Okay, so she is basically indicating that this boy and other peers of this boy, many boys in the locality who had the same dreams and are being, you know misled in the same ways, and their dreams are being shattered in the same ways. They are in this particular transitional period right now between summer and winter, summer being the easy time for these boys and winter being hardships. Okay, it's August. It's this transitional time that they're going through. At one point of time they will enter winter and things will be really tough for them. Okay, they'll be grown men, they'll be African American black grown men, and the cops and these people will tend to be racists, and they will look down upon them even harder. Okay, the mums nod past. What the mums here basically signifies, means, are chrysanthemums. Chrysanthemums are flowers, beautiful flowers that can be used for funerals, but I don't think Rita Dove wants to use them in that sense here. The mums basically, I interpret the mums as being the boys themselves, the children themselves, the children of this locality. Okay, the mums nod past. These children, they nod past, they walk past the patroller, each a prickly heart on a sleeve. What prickly means is, basically, a prickly person is someone who gets easily offended. Okay, and these boys have been watching television, and they have been seeing their parents being dehumanized by cops and dehumanized by society, because only because they're black, only because they're African American. People, casting eyes of suspicion on his community. So these people, these boys have become prickly now. They have become, you know they get easily offended by what they see. Okay, each a prickly heart on a sleeve, each a prickly heart on a sleeve, meaning, uh, they are really offended easily, and they show it. They show it. They show the cops that they are being offended. They are getting offended while you walk through our streets, while they walk through their streets, and, patrol, keep a suspicious eye on them. Okay, so this is how the cycle goes on. So what Rita Dove, this is a very tough poem actually. It's a very tough poem to be interpreted, very tough poem to be, understood. But I have tried my best here. What basically Rita Dove is trying to portray, she is trying to lay and paint before you, uh, a scene from the neighborhood, a scene from the old black African American poverty struck neighborhood. So you can imagine, and you can understand what dynamics go through all that is there. And you should try, as young writers, you should try something like this, because it's a very interesting style of describing things, of trying to go underneath these particular events that happen. uh, and India is really similar in many ways to this particular neighborhood that she describes. There's a lot of poverty here. There's a lot of racism here, uh, intercaste racism, as we would say, casteism, and there's a lot of bias here. So you as young writers should try writing something like this, and I hope this particular video helped you in that. Thank you so much.